Hi, welcome to Simplifying Expressions. The first thing that we're going to do when we look at this is we're going to focus on the parentheses. We have x minus 4. There's nothing that we can do inside the parentheses, but we can multiply using the distributive property. So we're going to multiply 2 times x, which is 2x, and then we're going to multiply 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. So one more time on this last part, 2 times negative 4, and that would be 8, and there's one negative sign, and 1 is an odd number, so that would make the 8 negative. So that's how I got negative 8. And then we're going to drop everything else. Now we are going to look for like terms. Which numbers have the same variable? This one is 2x and this one is 9x. We can combine them because they have the same variable. It's called like terms. They're both positive, so I would add them. And now I'm going to look at my numbers, my plain whole numbers. I have a negative 8 and a positive 1, and notice how I circled the sign with the number so that you can better see it. And if I combine those, they're different, so I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, and that would be negative 7. This is actually the answer in simplest form, 11x minus 7. Let's try another one. Alright, again, I'm going to focus on my parentheses. I have a 3w and a negative 13. There's nothing that I can do to combine those. But there's a negative out here waiting for these. And if I think about it like a negative 1, then negative 1 times 3w would be negative 3w. And negative 1 times negative 13 makes it positive 13. So when there's a negative outside of parentheses, every term inside the parentheses comes out opposite. This was positive, it's now negative. This was negative, it's now positive. And then I'm going to drop everything else down. We're going to look for like terms. So the variable in this one is w's. I have a negative w and another negative 3w. They're the same sign, so I'm going to take the sum, add them. This is like a 1w, so it would be negative 4w. And now I'm going to focus on my numbers, which are called constants because they don't have a variable. They're both positive, and so that would be plus 17, and that's the answer simplified. There's nothing else that we can do to it. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, again we have the distributive property. So negative 2 times 6 is negative 12, and I'm going to keep the m. And then negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. So I've cleared my parentheses, and I'm going to drop the other term down. Now I'm going to look for like terms. Terms that have m's. Well, here's one, and here's one. This one's negative, and this one's positive. So they're not the same sign, they're different. So I'm going to subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's going to be negative 8m. And then I just have one number right here, plus 2, and that's the answer simplified. Let's take a look at another one. Alright, this one's a little bit more complicated, but it's fun and easy. You can only combine terms that have the same variable to the same power. So let's talk about what a term is. This is a term, this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. Terms are separated by addition or subtraction signs. Now, I see that we have an x to the third power. So I'm going to look for another one that matches x to the third power. And here it is. I'm going to go ahead and take the sign in front of it. So we can see that this one's positive and this one's positive. So all I do is I add the 7 and the 4, and that would give me 11, and then I just keep my x cubed. Alright, now we're going to look at the other two. I have 8x squared. Do I have another x squared? Yes. It's right here, and it's negative. So I have a positive 8 and a negative 5. So I'm going to solve that, and that would be positive 3, and then I just keep my x squared. It doesn't change the power when you add. The power stays the same on the variable. And that's the answer simplified. Thank you for visiting my simplifying expressions. Check out my other videos online.